can go ahead. Refresh. Hello, you're welcome to today's edition of Money Radio, a program that brings to you development on Nigeria's business and economy cycles and issues of businesses around the world. My name is Innocent Odo, and today we shall be looking at the Nigeria textile industry and how to revive the industry to add value to the nation's economy. And I'm in the studio with Mark Isibo, who is an analyst in this very important sector. Mark, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Innocent. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And in this area, we talk about so much of adding value to the Nigerian economy, where, of course, there's this effort being made to revive this very important sector. And if you remember, back in the years, especially in the 80s, Nigeria used to be one of the most vibrant countries in the textile industries. But so many years down the line, we are beginning to have a serious downturn in this sector. Let me ask you, Mark, how did we arrive at this kind of situation where from being vibrant, we're now struggling?
All right, thank you very much, Innocent. The story of Nigeria is one of a funny one in a way, and on the other side, it's unfunny, if I must use that word. It's funny in the essence that it has to do with what do I call it now? Negligence on one part. Before you talk about the issue of corruption, yes, negligence in the sense that the cotton, textile, and garment industry in Nigeria used to be the second largest employer of labor after government before in the good old days. So it was employing, it had the potential of employing about 600,000 people. You can imagine what that means if you compare it that if you weigh it by our population then. And then it had the potentials of producing about from 150 to 300,000 metric tons of cotton for us. And so, and it also had the potential, so much potential for the economy, including conserving foreign exchange, including creating jobs, and even boosting local production of local production and consumption of textile materials. But gradual, deliberate, and whatever efforts were made, and that sector was undermined, and that brought us to our heels, to where we are today. Today, the jobs that were there, talk about the Arewa textile, talk about the United Nigerian textile, talk about the Kaduna textile industry, and we can go on and on and mention on the list. But the fact is that all of these that were in operation, advertently or inadvertently, were left to collapse. And the problem is you have lots of jobs, you have its impact on our economy, on the value of the naira, and the worst of it is the procreation of the high number of unemployment. Because once people are disengaged, they are pushing to the unemployment market. And what that results in is what you have as insecurity. Yes.
Now, well, the government has actually recognized some of these issues you mentioned, and there's some interventionist programs being made to actually revive this important sector. I could remember that the CBN, for instance, has invested about $300 million to help even cotton farmers and all the other allied industries to be able to shore up that sector. But it appears as if that interventionist program has not really made the desired impact in
yes
this.
Yes, you are right. Let me tell you, in 2009 the federal government intervened in this same sector with about 100 billion naira, and that was like a drop in an ocean. It didn't give us the expected impact. And then let it not be as if I'm sounding patronizing to the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, who has that passion, the real passion of driving the nation's economy, and is championing a cause, and is is reviving the sector, sort of, by leading a central banking system that is now intervening in the sector. And they are now doing a lot. A lot is being done. I can tell you for free, because I cover that particular sector as a reporter. And then I can tell you that as at last count, they have spent over 44 billion naira, disbursed up to 44 billion naira um, to beneficiaries, to operators, from the farmers, those who plant, from the point of giving seedlings to the farmers, to the point of even empowering the off-takers. So they have, those farmers who are benefiting, they have cultivated a large quantity of hectares of land, and those interventions are actually being done. But what it seems to us now is that those interventions, despite the interventions, it appears nothing is working. But without again sounding as if I'm talking for the CBN, I want to tell you that the interventions are not just like overnight interventions that will materialize. They take time. You understand? Unlike like the central bank governor said the other time, he said they have made these interventions and they are monitoring.
Okay.
You understand? Because it is a chain. You have from the farmers to the off-takers and to even the people that will pay. Because one of the challenges that was raised before now is those who will even buy from the people, from the manufacturers. Yes, you will have cotton producers who will produce cotton from the farm, and there will be no off-takers. Because the off-takers will tell you that there's nobody to buy from them. And like they say in economics, once you have a shortage in any part of the line, the entire curve is affected, is stabilized. Yes. So those interventions are actually there. That is, I can speak for the side of the monetary authorities based on their development finance initiatives. They have actually taken, and the last time they told us that they have created over 62,000 jobs, direct and indirect job. That, I mean, the Central Bank of Nigeria. So that is being done. I can tell you that is just like the rice industry. Yes. So that is being done, but it takes time. Okay. It takes time because several other efforts need to be put in place.
Okay, there's one other thing that brings to question the issue of government interventionist policies like that of the CBN. The CBN has done quite a lot, we know, just like you have said. But there are some other people who are government, we can say state government and other stakeholders in the industry who are also required to help.
Yes.
In pushing up these policies and making a whole lot of effort in strengthening the resolve of the government to do that. Do you think that other stakeholders are doing as much as the CBN is doing?
Well, it's a question. It's a rhetoric question. But let me make an intervention here. It is a sectorial problem, so to say. When you have issue of this magnitude, what you need is an all-round cooperation. That is every stakeholder, from the customs that are in the borders to ensure that this contraband, for instance, used clothes, what we call here okrika, don't find their ways here, to the SONs, Standard Organization of Nigeria, who ensures standardization of what is even manufactured here or what is coming in from outside, to the operators, the local operators. I talk about those ones who are in the chain of producing the generaries, those ones who are manufacturing the clothes and other wares. Everybody, all hands are supposed to be on deck. But just to speak to your question, what you have is what I will call a sabotage. If not, ask me, why would you still go to all markets from the north to the south? Why would you still go to all our markets and still find those used clothes?
Because they are actually been imported into the country. Sometimes even being smuggled into the country.
They find their way to the country through every way, including the official and unofficial way. The smugglers are there. They have a free access and exit.
Before you continue on that note, But I think there was a program, something like an executive order
Yes.
signed by the president in 2017,
Yes.
Executive Order 003,
Yes.
to also, forestall some of these things you mentioned, and
Mm.
as well, force some, at least mandate,
Mm.
let's use that word, mandate
Mm.
government agencies and parastatals
Mm.
to patronize Nigerian, fabrics.
Mm.
So how far do you think that has gone in trying to at least protect the industries in Nigeria by
Mm.
making sure that we, consume what we
All
produce?
right. The CBN at some of his meetings with the stakeholders, in a bid to ensure that the manufactured textile materials are not wasted or are not left on ports from the shelves. They engage this security, the paramilitary, the police, the air force, the soldier, the army, and the rest of them to ensure that they buy their uniforms
Mm.
from the local market. Before now, these things are bought from abroad,
Yes.
and that is one of the reasons why we have a proliferation of these uniforms, these official uniforms. For instance, you heard that some armed robbers, some miscreants, also terrorists were arrested with military uniforms. You understand? Because these things were just being bought anyhow. So now, to come to your question, the question of whether we have this cooperation is what still needs to be answered. Do you understand? For instance, if you talk about that executive order that was signed, that was what resulted in the closure of our borders the other time.
Mm.
Yes, they had to close the borders to ensure that these contraband products don't find their ways here, because of course what it tells you is that it was a slap on our security protectors, that is this custom and another task force. Because if they are supposed to man the borders to ensure that those kind of contraband products don't find their way here, and you still see them here, so it means that we are not doing enough. It means that somebody somewhere is aiding and abetting this kind of things. And the closure of the border, which resulted in all manner of cacophonial statements as to the government is this protectionism, is doing this, was one of the measures that anybody could have even applauded. As much as who will not want to be accused of protecting
Mm.
ourselves against our neighbors. But the fact is that that executive order ensured, what the proclamation was, that make sure by this order nothing comes from that place to this place again.
Mm.
Let us secure our borders. Let us not make our home, our land, a dumping ground for all those other countries who want to undermine our economy.
Yes.
You understand now? To some extent, it worked, but up till now, the thing is misguiding.
So, but to what do you now, attribute this type of challenge when we cannot even, ensure that our borders are safe and well manned, because we live in a very competitive world. You can see that China today is the largest exporter of textile materials in the world, and a whole lot of the raw materials that it gets for the production of these textile products are actually sourced from Nigeria and other parts of West Africa. But then they have the largest market. Nigeria is the largest market of textile materials in the whole of Africa. So you can see that taking advantage of protecting local industries like this, and then ensuring that the enabling laws are actually implemented to the letter, will go a long way to stop this type of challenge. Because Nigeria today is said to import textile materials worth of $4 billion every year, and that is a very huge number. What it then means is that we actually export jobs outside, while our own young people here don't have any job. So there's actually a need for a desperate measure
Yeah.
to ensure that if it is manning the borders appropriately, we have to do that, because they say desperate situations actually desire desperate measures.
The the issue is that the issue with what you are saying is, let me also tell you that the Nigerian Nigeria as a country ought to be generating over $2 billion of revenue if our textile and garment and cotton industry was performing up to expectation. Yes, that is in estimation. Now, you talk about the issue of what needs to be done, what needs to. It's not as if there are no political pronouncements, but the will, is it there? Do you understand? Is the will there? Because most of the time, what we see in Nigeria is we just come out, and when there's pressure, you see authorities, they just come out to make some political statements and they go back to state. Now, if for any reason, you see what your policy is no longer giving the desired results, what do? You retract,
yes.
you reevaluate, and you now know where to plug the loopholes. But what do we have in Nigeria? We don't have those kind of mechanisms. If we have those kind of mechanisms, it doesn't take more than 6 months, 1 year for us to know, for us to do an appraisal of our policies, to know if they are working or not. But what we really need is to actually go and ensure that the policies, the structures and programs of government are working and the expected results are being achieved.
Yeah. Okay. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll continue the discussion on reviving the textile industry to create job opportunities for the teeming youth population of the country. That will be when we'll take it. We'll come back from the break. You're welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the textile industry in Nigeria and the way we can, revive the industries in order to add value to the nation's economy and create the required jobs for the teeming population of Nigeria. And I'm sitting in the studio with Mark Itsibo. We're doing justice to this very important sector of the Nigerian economy. Mark, before we went on that break, we were talking about trying to ensure that we block all the loopholes where some of these materials that are being banned, cannot come into the country and, of course, affect our own nation here. Talking about protecting industries in the country. I know there are countries have taken a large chunk of policies protecting themselves. from infiltration from outside. But it seems Nigeria has not measured up to that capacity yet. And one is wondering, why do we always have to face this type of challenge each time we want to protect our industry like this? Why do we have to do that?
You know, protectionism is a tool, it's an economic tool that countries adopt to either um, cut relationship externally or severe it. Yes. And then apart from that, countries also adopt it to save its face back home, to protect what it has, and to also encourage local production or local businesses. Do you understand? But over time, what we have is because of the fact, permit me to say this, because if you ask me, I will tell you that this is my own opinion. I will tell you that Nigeria does not really have a national policy.
That's very harsh.
No. Why? That's why I said it's my personal opinion.
Okay, yeah.
If we have a national policy is designed deliberately to benefit a country. Do you understand? For instance, what would you say is our national policy today that is killing our economy? Killing our economy by encouraging the dumping, by making our country a dumping ground for every other manufacturer out there. What you have now is you see countries scheming to come to Nigeria.
Yes.
We have it that some countries are now fighting even with Nigeria,
yes,
for not allowing them to be the one the one that is for not adopting them as the sole exporter to Nigeria.
Yes.
You understand? And then you ask yourself, what is in it for us? Because that is the policy, that is the center of every national policy making program. The question is, what is actually our focus? Because in every relationship, a country is first of all supposed to be concerned about itself before it considers its brother or its ally.
Yes.
So because we don't have such programs, we do not have those kind of protectionism mechanisms for us to make sure that Nigeria, even back up at home, the SON, Standard Organization of Nigeria, is not doing enough. Because most of the times you see substandard products, so very, very substandard, even lower than the standards that we talk about that we're even making here. You find them in our shores. Today I was just reading in the papers how they discovered a particular factory in Lagos where they were doing some chemicals and the rest of them. Is it the NAFDAC or what agency posted those ones and they arrested? So the fact is, how did they come here? How did they get here in the first place? Is it that our borders, even the official borders, are so porous to the extent that we cannot actually protect and sieve out what is not supposed to come here? Why is it difficult for us? Where is the sabotage coming from? Who is manning it and who is encouraging it? Who are the agents?
Now, this sabotage had better be addressed now, because in this modern day economy, the world powers are scheming, and even other, the ones that are not too powerful countries are also reviving their economies, and this sector is very, very important to all of them. Now, there's this a program called the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement that had, in fact, taken shape already in Africa. And Nigeria is said to be one of the arrowheads of this particular agreement. Now, some of the provisions of this agreement are that they will have to encourage local productivity so that industries can grow and economy will have a value. But then, from the look of things, the policies of government towards this, are we really going to compete with this in this platform called Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement the way we're going? The policy is not sustaining, the policy flip-flops and somersault and all that, and the borders very open and porous all the time, and goods are being dumped into our shores. Are we still going to be very competitive under this platform of Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement with this development?
No. We will not be able to compete because we are not ready for that. By every indication, Nigeria is telling the world in very loud and clear language that is not prepared to take the advantage that this AFCFTA has presented it. Look, like they say in Latin, nemo dao quod non habet. Don't give what you don't have.
Yes.
You have to first of all build your base. It is when you build your base that you now know what to take out. We have to first of all, even local consumption, we have not been able to take care of it. Talk less of external consumption. So we need to take care of that before we can. Nigeria needs to wake up. There must be deliberate steps to make sure that we bring up these sectors. Let our CTG sector, the cotton, textile, and garment industry, let it come up. And let us feed our local production, our local consumption, before we can even think of exporting to other countries. Again, we also have to make sure that the countries, other countries that have still opened their doors to those other countries, I don't want to mention names, that are making their countries dumping ground for cars and the rest of them. Don't assess those things and throw them here, because the LCFTA gives that kind of freedom for navigation of man and goods. So we must also make sure that we don't become a consuming nation by the full implementation of that agreement.
Wow. We've been having a very thoughtful discussion here with Mark Itsibo, talking about how to revive the cotton, textile, and garment industry of Nigeria, a very critical sector to the Nigerian economy, especially now that the government is talking about adding value to the economy through the non-oil sector. And this sector has been very, very credible and very, very vibrant in the past in Nigeria. Unfortunately, years down the line, we witnessed a downturn, but there has been some very serious effort being made to revive the sector and bring it back to its original state. How far these programs and policies of government will go to revive these industries is what we are interrogating and will continue to interrogate from now onwards. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Money Radio, and we promise a very fresh edition when next we come. Stay blessed and goodbye.